Thank you very much, Dr. Petty, for those kind remarks. Representative and Mrs. Adlai Stevenson III, Superintendent Banzer, President Shuffman, members of the Board of Education, platform guests, students, and faculty, and ladies and gentlemen. It goes without saying that I'm extremely happy to be with you today. I feel honored to participate in this dedicatory program for the Adlai E. Stevenson High School. I apologize for the weather. I think I should, because it seems that every time I'm invited to Lake County we have rain or snow. I had to cancel one dedicatory address in this county because of a snow that was so heavy that we couldn't even fly into the area. I just returned from the National Conference of State Superintendents of the United States in Honolulu, and in 3 days we had 9 inches of rain that reached flood proportions. In fact, they had sandbags in the Waikiki area to such an extent in front of the stores so that the water couldn't run into the stores, so maybe I brought it back with me. I don't know. I hope not. But I am pleased to share with this community a recognition of the importance of education in providing increased opportunities for the citizens of this school district, especially the youth in these changing times. You know, in the early days of our nation, George Washington advised that institutions for the general diffusion of knowledge should be promoted as an object of primary importance. Thomas Jefferson declared that a commonwealth requires the education of her people as a safeguard of order and liberty. And it was Abraham Lincoln who said, "I view education as the most important enterprise which we as a people are engaged in." Today, as we engage in the dedication of the Adlai Stevenson High School, we can gratefully acknowledge that education is currently recognized as the highest priority in America. In addition, it can be pointed out that education in the deepest sense is now thought of as continuous and lifelong, and in essence unfinishable. It is therefore a process of importance to people of all ages and in all walks of life. The influence of the educational program carried on in this school, now and in the future, will never be fully measured. But the very fact that this community has seen fit to provide these modern and well-planned facilities exemplifies the responsibility that citizens here feel for providing exceptional educational opportunities for the entire area. Education in the United States has traditionally been a local and state function. The quality of education has been determined by the people of the school district. Local initiative has been the determining factor of education in our schools, and we hope that it will continue to remain so. Education, like government, should be responsible to the people it serves and responsible to their needs. The administration and Board of Education should be commended for giving much time and effort to the planning of these new facilities. Careful consideration was given over a considerable period of time to the development of the best educational program for the district. It is significant that the needs of the boys and girls of the district became the first consideration in planning these new facilities. The Board of Education was fortunate in securing an architect to achieve national recognition for the design of this particular building. Experts in the field of school building planning recognize the design for this building as exceptional in terms of meeting educational needs, aesthetic value, economy of construction, and adequacy in regard to health and safety. You know, a visitor will often evaluate a community by its churches and its schools. I'm impressed by the very fact that you have provided such a splendid school for the boys and girls of this area. Money spent for educational facilities is money well spent and serves to help make a community the type that is the very best in which to rear a family. There is something particularly unique about a program that deals with the dedication of a new building. It represents the results of the efforts of many people requiring hard work, requiring the payment of taxes and other sacrifices. A group like yours, which I've had the honor to meet, have through attitudes and actions left me with an abiding faith and full confidence in our country's democracy and the communities which go to make up this great land of ours. I have been further impressed with a feeling that no effort is too great to make for the boys and girls of America. Not only fathers and mothers, but entire communities are interested in education and the advancement of knowledge provided our young people. No one could have similar experiences such as those I have had without realizing that the American system of education is sound and will always endure. We often discuss support and control of education, and I'm certain that the control of education should be retained by the community, and to a great extent I am also assured that citizens of any district are willing to pay a great share of its costs, but I am also certain that the state must assume a greater share of the cost of education to relieve an excessive tax burden on the local property owner. Because of your expressed dedication to the youth of this community, you have reason to be justifiably proud of your achievements. And today, as I observed the pride which many of you have in your schools, as I viewed these new facilities, I thought of John Ruskin's much quoted phrase when he stated, and I quote him, "When love and skill work together, expect a masterpiece," end quote. Perhaps you, the taxpayers, the patrons, the parents, the teachers, students, do not think of the new facilities as a masterpiece, but let us use our imagination just for a moment. Through the influence of your concern for the boys and girls of this community, you constructed these educational facilities which you hope will serve their needs adequately for many years. Add to this the skills of these dedicated teachers in imparting knowledge and stimulating the innate desire of each individual to learn. Then augment this with the combined counseling and guidance efforts of your homes, and your churches, and your schools, and your entire community. And all of these put together produce masterpieces of humanity. These are our future citizens and leaders who tomorrow will assume the responsibility of keeping America great as well as free. And will give our dreams of today a continuity by extending them on to the unborn of tomorrow. And if these ideals are accomplished as a result of today's efforts, then, ladies and gentlemen, you have built not a masterpiece, but many masterpieces for tomorrow. Dedicated people accept the challenges of the present to meet current needs, and by so doing, they cast a lasting influence on the world of tomorrow, on the generations of the future. You have named your new building the Adlai E. Stevenson High School in recognition of the stature and accomplishments of the late ambassador to the United Nations and former governor of our great state of Illinois. It is altogether fitting and proper that you have done this. Adlai Stevenson was a man dedicated to the principle of the worth of each individual as an important contribution to the total assets of our republic. His expressed convictions and his acceptance of responsibilities established an example worthy of attention by all scholars who now and in the future acquire a portion of their total education in this building. And by naming this building in honor of former Governor Stevenson, you have in effect established a lasting example for the students and all citizens of this community. You have also indicated to the members of his family the pride you have in claiming Mr. Stevenson as a former resident of this area. Every community benefits in many ways from the construction of or modernization of its school buildings. Only through improved and extended educational opportunities in our schools can we eliminate illiteracy and the poverty that accompanies it. The growth of any community is measured largely by the growth of its schools. Through the progress of your educational system, your community has shown growth. It will show prosperity, purpose, leadership, and vision. The much-quoted statement which you have heard many, many times, and I like to refer to it often, knowledge is power, is far from true unless the knowledge and power are used for some good purpose. Perhaps you have best exemplified the positiveness of this statement by this new construction. Achievement of any kind brings us a good feeling, especially when the achievement is for the good of the children and youth of our communities and our state and our nation. And often as we labor to help children develop their talents and personalities, we as professional people wonder whether or not our guidance is in the right direction. Usually our help is something that is intangible because we offer guidance, advice, and information. Today we may not see the results of our labor, for it is over a period of time that the fruits of our labor will be noticeable through our children and youth and their influence on the community in the future. The foresight and planning you have used in the construction of your building show that you have planned well in providing for the three great explosions, population, knowledge, and technology, that are exerting tremendous influence on public education. You are not only up to date, but you are stepping forward to meet the future. Each year, the job of educating our children and youth is not only becoming greater, but it's becoming much more difficult. Technological changes plus improved competence on the part of our teachers have made possible new standards of attainment. Many areas of the curriculum have been studied and given new direction, as you have heard here today. And during the past few years, the subject fields within the science and mathematics areas have undergone extensive study, with content and method of presentation being revised. The scope of the modern languages has been extended. The language art areas has received broad study and revision. And during the past year, we have made great strides in the revision of teaching social studies in this state. And for the first time in the history of education in Illinois, we are striving to provide education for all children, the handicapped, the average, and the gifted on an individual basis. Now, what will tomorrow bring? We're all aware of the complexities of American life and our great involvement in international problems. We know these complexities and involvements will increase and that their solutions rest squarely on the shoulders of the education program and your school programs of the nation. Total education for all of our children, both today and in the future. You know, a few weeks ago, there was much publicity regarding the influence of the United States Office of Education and the control of education in the local school district. The new Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 provides a lever to control local school districts with the withholding of funds. The U.S. Office of Education did just that in the city of Chicago, but fortunately reactions at the state and local level influenced a reversal of this action. And I only say to you today that if the United States Office of Education can withhold funds from the city of Chicago, these funds can also be withheld in other school districts. If the United States Office of Education can influence the policies of the Board of Education of the city of Chicago, the same could happen in this school district and every other district in our nation. Yes, my friends, I'm afraid we are facing a new crisis in education that every citizen should carefully consider. The question is simply this, is whether the schools will continue to be controlled and directed by the local boards of education, or if the schools are to become part of the federal program with the policies coming from the banks of the Potomac River. Federal aid to education can and must be an important asset to local schools. And the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction is now actively engaged in helping the local districts of Illinois to take advantage of these funds. But this does not mean that we must not be on our guard. Our schools are close to the parents and other citizens of the school districts. Communities that desire the best in education can develop quality programs through their own initiative. The ideas coming out of Washington are not new to educators, only the money is new. And I'm afraid we're operating under the old principle at the present time that money controls schools, and we know this is true. I believe that excellence in American education is due in large part to the local control of schools. Administration of our local schools from Washington would only result in average schools that just barely meet minimum standards. The future of education will be affected for many years by this issue. And I only suggest that you take a close look and you do what you can to keep your schools close to the people and resisting this type of centralization of education. In the construction of your building and educational program, you have built with a unity of purpose and with a certain set of values. These values are conducive to better organization and an atmosphere of learning which gives assurance that your children and their children will receive a thorough and an efficient common school education. So, my friends, in closing, may I just say this. Again, I want to say I'm grateful to you. I appreciate the opportunity of being with you today and sharing your pride in these new facilities. And I wish you even greater achievement and success for your educational goals of the future. And again, I congratulate you on the naming of this school. Mr. Adlai Stevenson, former ambassador and governor of our state, and as Representative Stevenson stated here today, it is very true that Governor Stevenson's record in this state was a good record in the interest of boys and girls in education in this state. He was always there and ready to support your school programs. So as we journey forward, I think we might well be mindful of the words of Norman Vincent Peale when he stated this: when you affirm big, believe big, and pray big, big things happen. Thank you very much.